blind, but now I see. Was blind, but now I see. Oh, how sweet, amazing grace wraps me in a warm embrace. Oh, my heart rejoiced. I was lost, now found. All my praise goes out as your love comes down. All my praise goes out as your love comes down.
So that was Love Comes Down by Shane and Shane. I think it's such a jolly song.
Yo, honestly,
It's so fun.
The intro, I really like the intro. It gives me like a folk kind of vibe.
Folk, I like folk.
Yeah, right.
Folk is like nice.
I'm back. It's still, bro.
There's something about that like banjo feely.
There it is, right?
Yeah. Do, 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 do. I don't know. I'm a bad singer anyways. But the verses are nice too.
No, later. Do you want me to pull them up? Do you have
Yeah.
lyrics there? All right,
So
I'll bring
like, I brought you all. It's playing. Just listen to it. Yeah, you have to put Shane and Shane because it's it's an original.
Ones, eh?
Yeah.
Evelyn Champagne King.
Yeah.
Not
So
sure if
a
that's
bunch
any
of
good.
other people are like, even Matt Maher has his own different. It's not a rendition.
It's not. Yeah, it's something
It's
else. eh?
it's something else.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just has to do with like the journey. I brought you all my foolish crowns. With trembling hands, I laid them down, expecting wrath to be poured out. But you placed mercy on my brow.
Ooh. I love that I brought you all of my foolish crowns. Oh, man.
It's
Wow.
like intentionality, right?
Oh, my
like at the end of the
gosh.
day, like sometimes people say like, I am this, I am this, I am a regen missionary, I am a PhD student, I work at TD. But like at the end of the day, like that amounts to nothing.
Amen.
If you do not realize that you're a beloved child of God. Right?
I feel God is intentional, like in that way, in that we take on these identities, like all those ones you were saying, AJ. But as we get older, He will peel back like an onion. He will peel back layers of it.
Yeah.
Until you get to the point. So take for a mother, for example, right? She has 4 kids. She raised them. They all go off to high school, university. They leave the house now. She has, at some point in time, she'll have to face the question, who am I?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like,
No,
and
the
to
identity.
get to that point that no matter what you're doing, those are all superficial, but who you actually are is, beloved daughter, beloved son of God.
That's a daily reminder, right? I think we ought to remind ourselves every day, because if we don't, we will get to that routine and get to that place where we're stripped from whatever that is.
Yeah.
And we're like, wait, who am I?
Yeah.
But if you remind yourself that you are a beloved son or daughter of God, every day, it won't happen. But it's easy for it to happen because we're just so, like, it's like when we go autopilot, it's easy not to be intentional because we're just cruising. We're just like, oh, I have to go to work.
Yeah.
Or I have to go to class.
Yeah.
And it's so easy for mass. Like, something that I talk about with Andre is that, like, now that we are not in regen or in totus tuus, like, our mass and adoration needs to be quite intentional for us.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There's
But-
no one telling us
yeah.
or driving us to go,
Yeah.
in our schedule. Like,
Yeah.
we got to do it.
But we also need to look at each other and remind each other that, like, yes, we've made this personal commitment, but it can't just be that. Like, it's good that it's a commitment, but when we start seeing it in one another, that, like, oh, we just have to do it because we said we were going to do it. We're losing intentionality and we're going autopilot, and we lose the graces that can come from that intentionality.
Yeah.
So when we go into adoration, I'm like, oh, I have to be here for an hour, and that's it. Or like I go to mass because I have to check it off my thing. then we lose the intentionality of it.
Yeah.
And that would suck in a relationship where like, oh yeah, like I have to see her once a week.
Mm-hmm.
So
right?
like, yeah, why not?
Spend 60 minutes with you,
Yeah,
okay? Like, gotta go. 1
uh,
hour of intentional time.
Or you want more than an hour? Okay, let's just watch a movie.
Yeah.
Like,
Ooh,
what?
rip. Yeah, I know. No,
Yeah,
I feel that.
like be intentional. I think that's really lacking nowadays. I
Yeah.
know for me, so like,
Yeah,
I,
I think Cardinal Collins.
What do you say?
Cardi C, as I call him.
Cardi C.
No disrespect.
His
though, with
Eminence.
that. Yes,
Yeah.
His Eminence. His Eminence. No, he was singing at I think it was Rise
Renew?
Renew. Sorry, jeez, I forget.
Yeah.
Yeah, Renew. He was talking about like how he sets a timer on his watch. And he just keeps on going until that timer goes off when he's in front of the Blessed Sacrament, in front of Jesus.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that could be a.
So
that could
he's
be a
not,
thing.
yeah.
He's not even checking. Yeah, he's not even checking his
That's smart.
time. Yeah.
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 yeah. So I mean, like, and it's just like, I think that I'm quite an intentional person, but having like my brothers, like you guys, have shown me that I can still be more intentional. Whether it's with my words or my interactions
Yeah.
with you guys or with other people, that I'm like, I still have more to go, and it's like that journey of virtue where it's just like it's until we get to heaven, we're not really saints yet,
Yeah.
right? While we're still here, we're not saints yet. So it's just like really being intentional, because like you said that like God is very intentional with us.
Very intentional.
And
Yo, what was that thing you said about earlier? About
Which
the
one?
3 wise men, man. That was so like that was
Oh.
that was juicy.
Right. Yeah, that was spicy
Juicy.
still.
Yeah.
oh yeah,
Tell us
yeah.
about it.
So like I think the wise men were like super intentional. Like obviously they're like, okay, like we heard that there's a king that is going to be born here, and so we're traveling and we're following the star to find him. But in doing so, because they're seeing another king, they have to bring a gift.
Yeah.
And each king has their own specific gift, right? So one of the kings, they brought incense, and so that is to symbolize the priesthood of Christ. And so like, you know, that's very important because that is who he is, right? And then another king, he brought gold to symbolize the kingship of Christ. Like you are the king. You are going to be the King of Kings.
Yes.
Right? The Lord of Lords. The third guy, this guy's wild. I don't know what he was thinking, but he was so intentional with what he brought. Yeah. He brought myrrh.
Yeah.
And I believe myrrh is used for embodiment for the death of someone.
To embalm them, right?
Yeah. So, could you imagine, like, if someone had a baby shower, and like everyone's like bringing like these nice things, and someone brings a casket.
Yeah.
Like, oh, your child's gonna die someday. So, but like that's wild. Imagine Mary and like Joseph, like rejoicing in the first
Jesus
two gifts.
just been born,
Yeah,
fresh.
in the first two gifts, like, oh yeah, priesthood, gold, kingship, and then what is that?
Right on. Right
You know.
on.
So it just goes to show like the intentionality of these wise men, and even just for us, like as men, as we're called to be for now, and also for our future families, if that is our vocation, that like we ought to be very intentional.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I sometimes I'm looking at my days now. I'm like, how intentional have I been today with those that are around me? And one of those ways is that I try not to be on my phone too much nowadays. Like I try not to, at least.
Yeah, I think I've seen a bit of a change with that.
Thanks, man.
No
I'm trying.
worries. No, I see that.
Yeah,
I see that.
especially like encountering like if the only thing that is guaranteed is this moment, then I lose it if I'm paying attention to something else.
Yeah.
Like the next hour is not guaranteed for me.
Yeah.
But at this moment it is, because Christ is here. Christ is very present here. So if I'm not present with the person beside me because I'm constantly looking at my phone, I'm missing Christ. Right?
And if you do gotta have your phone out, like have it face down or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Like that's what that way. Because even if people have it face up, like, you know, if you're in a group and somebody sees it, like, you know, everyone looks down at it to see, like, you know,
Yeah.
what's the, or that person, whoever phone it is like, right,
Yeah.
like on it.
Yeah,
But yeah, I'm being intentional with the moment, man. I was reading a book that Father Mike Schmitz recommended, Abandonment to the Divine Will of God, right?
sounds juicy.
Yeah, it is. It is amazing. And in that book, a priest wrote it. He talks about the intentionality and the sacramentality of this present moment in time.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
That this is the moment you encounter Christ, not in
Yeah.
5 minutes, not when you were in church, like yesterday, like no, like
It's happening
right
right
now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is the only, it's this moment to like live in this presence. And like I find that even if we're like we're having bad days or whatnot, like to be intentional with being grateful for the moment that we're having right now, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, like right now. Like why is this? Why like yo? I met up with a good friend yesterday, and she hurt her leg really badly. Right? Shout out to Veronica. I know you don't listen, but yeah, shout out to you anyway.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Gonna get her on
But
the podcast.
yo, her leg is crushed, right?
Man.
And she was saying to me, like, Andre, like, I took it for granted, you know, like, if I have to get my purse and it's on the couch and I'm sitting on a chair, like, I have to think twice, like, is it worth it getting my purse? Like,
Oh my Lord!
yeah.
Oh.
Or, yo, I forgot my charger downstairs, and she would, you know, she said she would just run down the stairs and like get it and come back up quickly. She took that for granted. Like she has a little scooter, guys, that she runs.
She has a scooter.
She has a little scooter that she puts like her injured leg on.
Yeah.
Right. That's like broken.
Yeah.
And one leg is off, and she like hops around on that, and it has like brakes and like
that's
everything. Like
jokes.
yeah,
That's cute.
man.
Yeah,
like,
that's cute.
But
Yeah.
yeah, just like yo, man, that don't take for granted like the blessings like you have.
Yeah.
No, and it's so important that like you really don't know what you have like until it's gone, right? So when like hopefully like it doesn't take for something to be removed for us to be finally grateful for something, and in a way that has to do with intentionality by seeing like, you know, like I'm grateful for the ability to walk. Like for Ken and I for that week, or at least for me for that week, I was like, yo, I'm so grateful to have a car. Because
Yo, trust.
oh my Lord,
Trust, man. Now that Miata's gone, life
Yeah.
life is different.
exactly.
Yeah.
So it's just like seeing these things as like being intentional, like gratitude. Like there's some things that I'm so grateful for.
Yo, for me, one of the big ones over the last like 5-6 years, as I've grown, as a son, is like because I've lived away from my parents since I was 18 years old, right?
Right.
Now I'm like 32 right now, so
Long time, eh?
yeah. So like when I get to spend Christmas with them, praise be to God. Like you actually get to enjoy their company. Like it's the best, man. And I want to be intentional. I don't when I visit them, like if I go to wherever they are, like I don't come to that country to go hang out with my friends.
Yeah.
Like I'm like no, I'm actually here for you guys. Like you guys matter, you know. Like,